So let's get started. I'm Jeremy. I'm from DataGOL. I run our product and growth, and we have Jordan here who looks after our solutions engineering, and he kind of is like our point person for a lot of our client onboarding. So he's also our in-house like Claude expert. So we've actually been getting a lot of questions recently on Claude Code, how it works with DataGOL, and how they can just like optimize it. And we were going to set up kind of like a private walkthrough for several of our clients on it, how they can use it with us. And we just decided because we also were getting a lot of interest from prospects and just people in general, we would open it up for like a lunch and learn. And the main thing we really want to get out of today is, to give you guys the fundamentals. There's a wide like gap between the people here, between what they know, what they don't know. But what we think is the best way to progress, and Jordan and I are going to work with this, and Jotesh might join next time, is to give you guys a really solid foundation this time. We're going to cover skills, MCP, how to use Claude Code, Claude CoWork, and like which is the best one to use for each. And then from there, we'll kind of do a deeper dive into both CoWork and Claude Code and get more into the very specialized use cases. But from here, let me turn it over to Jordan and let him kind of introduce himself and kind of lay out the agenda for today.
Here at DataGOL. So I work mostly in client onboarding, client training, helping clients out. So recently, as you all probably know, Claude is a very hot topic. So a lot of questions coming in, a lot of people who might be unfamiliar with Claude or how to use Claude, asking how they can use DataGOL in Claude. So today I'm gonna walk you guys through how we're using Claude in DataGOL. So let me actually share my screen here. All right. So today, I'm going to walk you through how we're using Claude within DataGoal, not just as a chatbot where I'm asking questions, but actually as a full automation layer across our workflows. Um, so we're going to cover three main products, which is Claude, the AI assistant itself, just a chat interface, and then also Claude CoWork, which is what powers this desktop automation that I was referring to, and then Claude Code for developing workflows. We'll go into that a little bit as well. And then I'll show you the building blocks on how you can make the most out of code. So connectors, skills, and plugins. And then finally, I'll walk you through the custom skills that I've built and how I've connected Claude directly inside, how I've connected DataGoal inside of Claude to help me with, my clients, my customer success workflows, and all that good stuff. So just to go through the agenda, what we'll be covering today, as I mentioned before, Claude itself, what it is, and how you access it. Then Claude CoWork, which is the desktop tool that I'm going to show you that I'm running right now. Three is Claude Code, the developer facing CLI. That's a little technical. We can, maybe have a separate call for that one and go more in depth because there's plenty of aspects of Claude Code, but we'll briefly cover it. And then connectors, skills, and plugins, which are the building blocks. As I mentioned, this is what makes Claude truly powerful, and if you use them the correct way. And then I'll show you the actual skills that I bought inside of my Claude application by giving you a live demo and actually show you some examples of, quarterly business reviews that I've created, how I have it briefing me every morning on my client health, and some really cool things that we're doing here within the company that you guys might be able to take away as well. So let's start with Claude itself. Claude is a AI chat assistant by Anthropic, and it's available through the web app, a mobile app, as well as a desktop app. And then it's also available via API for any developers who want to use it to build on top of it. The reason that we chose Claude over the other options of AI assistants is just for a few things. It's genuinely good at reasoning and dealing with complex problems, and it handles long documents and large amounts of context very well. It communicates clearly, and now, Claude CoWork is the desktop application that I keep referring to. It's what I have open and what I'm running my workflows with. And the good thing about it is that it's designed for non-developers. So you don't have to write any code. You don't have to use the terminal. I know, when most people see Claude, they see Claude Code and how it's running in a terminal, using commands and all of this stuff. So it becomes very intimidating but CoWork makes it very business user friendly, is what I would like to say. And what makes CoWork powerful as well is that it runs in a sandboxed environment on your computer. So it can run your against your files. You can connect your apps. It can take actions on certain apps, all in a controlled way based on the permissions that you allow it to have. So, for example, it can access your Google Drive, your Gmail, your calendar, Slack, Jira, any connector that you've connected. I'll use the term connector and MCP interchangeably because they're essentially doing the same thing. The use case for us in using these connectors in CoWork is, as I mentioned before, generating QBRs, pulling morning briefs, even drafting release notes. We have our Jira. I have the Jira connected, all from natural language. I can simply ask Claude CoWork to help me do these things, and it already has all the tools that it needs to automate this for me, so that I don't have to go manually pick up the pieces and put everything together. And then Claude Code, this is the developer-facing version. It runs in your terminal as a command line tool, and it's mainly designed for coding, meaning you can give it a task and it figures out what to do, reads your files, writes files, runs tests, commits changes, all of this. As I said, I'll keep this one brief since our focus today is mainly on the CoWork workflows. But the big point here is that Claude Code and CoWork share the same underlying infrastructure, the same skills, the same plugins, connectors. So anything that we build in one context is transferable across these different parts of Claude. Now, this is where Claude is getting, it has become very powerful for us in the skills that we're creating. What is a skill? I keep mentioning skills, 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 but what even is a skill? A skill is basically just a markdown file or a text file. It's a document that has detailed instructions, best practices, and context that Claude reads before it starts working. So you can kind of think of it like an onboarding documentation, except that every time Claude reads it and every single time that you tell it to do a particular task, it'll read that skill and follow that skill precisely. So it'll use that personality, it'll use that knowledge base, and it'll complete the task appropriately as if it's a person who is skilled in this topic. I mean, it's a little bit intuitive, right? So instead of having to re-explain things, like if I'm giving it some context or telling it how to do something in the way that I specifically want it done, I don't have to explain this every single time. I can simply have a skill for that. And every time I ask a question within that context, Claude will automatically recognize I have to use this skill. It'll read it, understand that workflow, and then execute it appropriately. And we've written skills for basically every repeatable workflow that we have. Now, connectors give Claude access to the tools that it needs. Connectors are integrations that are built on a protocol called MCP. MCP is a model context protocol, and they're basically plugins that let Claude talk to external services. So we have connectors for Gmail, Google Calendar, Google Drive, Slack, Jira, and then most crucial for us is our own DataGOL platform. Once the connector is connected to your Claude, once it's enabled, Claude can query from it, pull data from it, and also act on it. So I actually have a situation where my daily brief is drafted in my email. So every morning when I open my laptop, 9 a.m., that task starts running. And then a draft just lands in my email automatically, letting me know, client health, all this stuff. I'll go deeper into it once we get there. And it'll do all of that in one pass just by calling these connectors. And the skill specifies which connectors to use, as well as the schedule on when to call it. Now, finally, plugins. Plugins are just a packaging layer. They're essentially just connectors and skills put together. And Claude allows you to install them all in one go. It makes it really easy to share workflows. So if I wanted to share my daily brief skill with one of my team members at DataGOL, if I was to just have a plugin where it would have the Gmail connector, Google Drive connector, all my DataGOL connectors, as well as the skill attached to it, I can just send them that package plugin. They can install it, and then they have access to that entire automated workflow very quickly. For DataGOL, we've been thinking about it mainly as the foundation for how we deliver AI automations to our clients as well as our team members, like I mentioned. Packaged workflows that they can just install and run without having to configure anything and put all the pieces together. All right, so here are some skills that we've actually built and are actively using. I want to cover three main ones because I feel like these are the heavy hitters for me in my daily workflow. Starting with the daily brief. Every morning, Claude pulls my emails, calendar, Slack messages, and Jira tickets and gives me a prioritized action plan. So my main clients that I'm working with always get their own sections. If I'm the primary point of contact, then Claude knows to put a focus on any meetings, call transcripts, Jira tickets, anything tagged with that specific client. And it emails that brief directly to me before I start my day, as I mentioned. I'll go ahead and show you an example of that email as well. And then we have the QBR generator. This one is not fully automated, but it pulls usage data, engagement metrics, AI quality scores, and support history from our DataGOL MCPs, the workbooks that I'll show you as well. And then it generates a complete executive ready QBR document. So it'll use all of the Jira tickets, any information from meeting transcripts, as well as our own usage reporting that we store in DataGOL. And it'll create a quarterly business review for us anytime I ask. So if I just go in and I say, generate a QBR for Lincoln Healthcare, then it will give me a full QBR. I can review it and tweak it as needed. Since CoWork has access to create files, I can simply take that file as a Google Doc, or if you're on Mac, Pages. I can just click on that file and I can edit it right away, because it's not just a static document that it's giving me. It's an actual file because that's what CoWork has access to. And then finally, the customer success as advisor. As a solutions engineer, I'm one of the core parts of the customer success team, constantly dealing with clients, and sometimes I need to think like a senior executive, right? So that I can keep my clients happy, and I might not always have the knowledge on how to do that. So what I prompted Claude to do was research all of the best practices of a senior customer success advisor so that it can help me think through some difficult client conversations, renewal strategies, escalations, so that I'm always performing the best that I possibly can when dealing with my clients. Some other Claude skills that we have are document generation, social content, marketing ideas, and more. And also the skill creator itself is a skill. So Claude automatically has the skill creator so that if I go into CoWork, I can simply tell it what kind of skill I want to create, and then it'll call the skill creator skill that it already has to create another skill. It sounds confusing, but I'll show you how you can create skills in a second as well. And then finally, the DataGOL MCP. This is how DataGOL connects to our platform and our data, whether that's our client data, usage data. I even have some meeting transcripts stored in DataGOL as well that I can show you, because maybe I don't want to call and search through my Google Drive every time. I just have certain transcripts stored in DataGOL that I can use our MCP to look for. This is the main piece that makes everything uniquely powerful for our company. We've built MCP connectors on the platform. So Claude has direct access, live access to our data, workbooks, client usage stats, AI interactions on our platform, and all user login activity and all of that good stuff. So when Claude is generating quarterly business reviews or daily briefs, it's not just working from like screenshots or like a couple of emails. It's actually querying the platform in real time, and it figures out which clients are using, which clients are having errors, and it enables a workflow that creates AI generated reports, automated usage alerts, customer solutions recommendations, and it all flows in from Claude, and all I have to do is connect DataGOL. So, with all of that background, I can go ahead and start giving you a live demo of the skills. So we'll start on the Chrome browser itself, right? So I said there's multiple ways to access Claude. First, we have just the Claude AI website. This is the chat interface. I can simply start asking questions here, just like a ChatGPT or a Gemini. I can ask and it'll give me an answer, right? If I just say, "Tell me some latest news," it'll find that on the internet and give that to me. This is basically just like an assistant. But coming in here into the Claude application, once you have this downloaded, then you have access to these three tabs: chat, CoWork, and code, which I explained before. For the purpose of this webinar, we'll focus mainly on CoWork, as this is where we have automated our workflows. Jeremy, do you want to add any comments or anything before I move forward with the live demo? Any questions? No? Okay. So I'll start from the very beginning. Before I have CoWork assist me in any of my daily tasks, I have to give it the appropriate context that it needs in order to work. And I can do that by connecting various different connectors. And the way that I do that is simply by coming down here to my settings, and then here I have the ability to add connectors. Here you can see, as I mentioned before, I have my Google Drive, my Atlassian account for Jira, Gmail, Google Calendar, Slack, and then all of these different DataGOL workbooks. This is how I was saying we're pulling our clients' AI scores, AI usage, even development requirements. We track in DataGOL as well, error logs, meeting transcripts, and then all user login information and how much time they're spending on the platform. And then with this, I can create skills on top of that. So skills live in the customize tab. So coming over here to the left side panel, if I click customize, then I can see my skills here. This is a list of some of the skills that I have created. So we'll start at the top, the QBR generator. I'll only focus on the three main ones, because it's going to be way too much to describe all of these skills in detail. So we'll go over the QBR generator, the customer success advisor, and then the daily brief. So you know what? Actually, let me start from the daily brief, because I feel like this one is the most important one for me. Like I said, every morning I come in, open my laptop, and I automatically get briefed 9 a.m. on if clients have emailed me overnight, any meetings that I have coming up today or in the next 2 days that I might have to prepare for. It'll pull my Jira tickets. If I had a meeting even yesterday, it'll pull that transcript, and maybe I had to follow up with a customer. There was some deliverable that I owed a customer and I didn't send it that previous day. It'll automatically flag and let me know you need to send this today, so that the client doesn't think you've just gone quiet. So this is an overview of what the skill is. Now, the way that I created the skill was using CoWork itself. But if you wanted to import skills in different ways, all you have to do is click this plus button here, and then you have three options. So you can create the skill with Claude. Like I was saying before, CoWork has its own skill creator skill right here. So if you click create with Claude, it'll take you to CoWork. You can describe the skill that you want to create, and it will simply generate that skill.md file, and you can just copy it to your skills directly from the chat interface. I feel that this is one of the easiest ways to create custom skills, but maybe there's some skill that someone has already created and you don't want to have to create a skill yourself, which is the case a lot of times. For example, like this front-end design skill helps build user interfaces for applications, and that's a publicly available skill from Anthropic itself. So all I have to do to upload a skill that's publicly available is download it as a skill.md file, whether that's from GitHub or wherever else you might find your skill MD file. Maybe someone just sent you a skill MD file that they created. You can just click here, upload a skill, and then select it from your documents or just drag and drop it in, and it'll automatically be included into your skills. And then finally, you can write the skill instruction yourself. Like I said earlier, all a skill file is just a markdown file, or essentially just a text file. So in the text file, you specify a name, a description, and then you give it the description of the skill, the behavior that it should follow, any tools that it needs to call. You can write it all yourself, right? Yeah, I mean, that's all there is to it. Once you have created your skill, then they will land here, and you can just start calling them right away within the CoWork, chat, or Claude Code. So let me go into my daily brief skill. Here, I've given it some context as to who I am, so that it understands, what would my daily flow actually look like? Who am I? What's my personality? And then it has the context. It has my email. It's given itself its own. Remember, I didn't create this skill. I just told Claude what I needed to create, and it created this for me. So it took my email. It gave itself its own mindset. So senior customer solutions manager, meaning that every time it uses skill, this is how it's going to behave. This is the mindset it's going to have. I specified my key clients to watch out for in my transcripts, and then as well as secondary clients. it has my Jira instance and my Jira account. Now, the first thing that it does is it's going to collect all of my data all in parallel. So it'll run all of these simultaneously so that it minimizes time. It'll call Gmail to search any emails from the last 2 days, flag any thread where I was directly addressed, but I have not replied. It'll also watch for churn signals. So in an email, if it sees any customers complaining, a customer confused, maybe a customer hasn't responded to my emails in a while, then it'll flag that. It'll also search Slack. We have external communication channels for our clients. So if there's any Slack message that maybe I missed, something that I told the client I was going to deliver in Slack, it'll check that and it'll automatically flag me if there's anything I need to do, as well as churn signals, just like in the email. Next, it'll pull all of my calendar events for today and then the next working days, the next 2 business days. So that's because if I'm working on a Friday, I don't need to check my meetings for the next 2 days because I'm not going to have any meetings. Sorry, I'm going to be home. But it'll check Monday and Tuesday. That way, I'm properly prepared for all of my meetings. I'm not going into any meetings blind. Every morning, I can check what are my meetings for today and the next 2 days without having to worry about last minute preparation or any of that. Sometimes it'll even suggest to me how I should prepare for that meeting. It'll ask, is there prep needed? Who are the attendees? How many people are going to be there? What priority should I put on this meeting? Is it a big meeting? Is it a smaller meeting, just like a touch point? Or, it'll find that context and it'll let me know. Then it'll get my open Jira tickets, just from my Jira account. Simple. It'll tell me what my tickets are for the day or any open tickets that I have. And then it'll also use, this is when it starts using DataGOL, our own system. It starts using those workbooks to pull client requirements, user login activity. So we have a workbook for client development requirements. So if there's any specific client that's facing some developmental bug or a new feature that needs to be shipped for them, we track those in DataGOL, and I have that connected as well. So it'll check if there's any open development tickets for my clients so that I can keep my clients updated as well as keep the development team accountable for getting those done in a timely manner. Right. Now, some of the tools that the DataGOL workbook has are writing queries, executing queries, getting table schemas. So it detected the tools that DataGOL has access to, and it pre-wrote the queries in order to get all of the relevant information that I need for my daily brief. So it'll find a query for new users, recent logins, and inactive users, and then it'll flag those to me as well. Again, I didn't even specify that this is what it needed to do. I simply told it I need to be briefed in the morning as a senior customer success manager so I can treat my clients in the best possible way. And so it figured that these are the 3 best queries to write on that workbook so that I can be as productive as possible in my workflows. And then it'll use the AI usage to tell me how my clients are using our AI features on the platform, as well as a summary. All of this is pretty much the same, pulling the data from the DataGOL workbooks. And then finally, it'll pull my meeting transcripts from Google Drive. It'll check today and the previous day, but it'll also make sure to pull any transcripts that have my main clients in the title. So anything relevant to me, specifically for my clients, it'll flag those above just any meeting that I was a part of that might have been internal or whatnot. You can see that logic here. It'll also check if I've sent a follow-up email or not, because that's something, since it has that role, senior customer success manager, you want to follow up with your clients right after your meeting, make sure that, you outline the next steps, give a summary of what was done. It'll flag that a follow-up email was not sent. And if it was not sent, it'll actually generate one for me. So it'll say, these are some things based on the transcript that you should probably send in your follow-up email. That's the first step. That's just collecting the data. Then it will assess client health. Based on all of that data that it's gathered, it'll make its judgment on whether this client is on track, at risk, or critical. So this is what helps me decide where I need to put my attention to the most today and throughout the week. It's decided some churn risk signals, expansion signals, and then it'll prioritize this. So it'll check cross-stream signals. If I have multiple client tasks open in email and Slack and Jira, then that means that there's a lot of work going on with this client, and I should probably put some extra attention to it. It'll check my unsent
Here,
drafts.
quick question for you before you go on.
Yeah.
Can you maybe talk about how it went about the prioritization? Did you give it any like specific guidance?
No, so this is the prioritization was created based on thinking like a senior CSM. So I didn't tell it how to prioritize, but when I was creating this skill, I told CoWork, behave as a senior CSM. Research what are the best practices of a senior CSM before you even create this skill. Figure out the most context you need to be the best possible customer success manager that you can possibly be. And so it got all of the things that it needs to do from the internet, just from publicly available sources. And then it gave itself that mindset. So this prioritization, this, these churn signals, expansion signals, this is all created on its own. I didn't specify any of this. So yeah, it'll prioritize tier one, tier two, tier three, with the descriptions being how much attention I should put to it, whether that's very urgent, I should get to it soon, and then this one is just, pay a little bit of attention to it. And then finally, it'll generate the brief. It has a specific structure. It'll give me the weekday, my top 5 priorities for today that need to get done, any meetings that I have today, and then my client health assessment. It'll categorize these based on the descriptions that I said before. It'll also give me my Jira tickets, that any tickets that are stalled that I haven't updated in a couple of days, or things that have due dates. It'll flag these, and then it'll also tell me client activity, so their AI usage, error reporting, new users, all of that good stuff that I was showing you before. It'll flag that for me as well. It'll generate meeting follow-ups. So again, if I didn't send the follow-up email after a call, it'll draft that for me. It'll detect that I didn't send the follow-up email, and it'll draft that for me so that I can review and make sure to send that out as soon as possible. I also want to follow up with my team members. So coming down, yeah, create the follow-up email drafts. I also want to follow up with my team members. So it'll also automatically put in my draft a summary, an internal summary for my uh, team members, so that I can let them know if there's any development tasks that have to go on, if there's any bugs that need immediate fixing, just so that they stay in the loop with my clients as well. And then that's it. The way that this is sent to me is on a scheduled cron job. Claude uses cron for scheduling tasks. So coming back over here to the left side panel, you see that it has scheduled. And in here, I have my daily brief. So if I click into this, you can see that it repeats every day at 9 a.m. It gives itself the instruction, run the daily brief skill. And you can give it this description. This was just automatically generated by me telling CoWork to create the automation, but you can create these scheduled tasks yourself as well. And then you can see that my latest draft was today at 9 a.m. So I can go to my email actually and show you what that draft looks like here. So automatically lands in my drafts. It's not going to send it. It's not going to send the email to my inbox because I haven't given it that permissioning, right? I don't want it to go ahead and start sending emails to my clients without me reviewing it. So even the daily brief email, I have it sent only to my drafts because I've given it that boundary. And then just like I showed before, this is the structure. So you can see that today I had to respond to one of my clients, RSVP to this meeting that I had an RSVP for, and then things that I have to prepare for later on in the day. It'll give me some prep, what I need to do for this meeting. For this meeting at 10:30, it recommended preparation, my onboarding. It'll give all of the suggestions that it has, and then it'll assess my client health for the work streams. It's a little harsh in the client scoring, but it's adjustable. Better to be harsh than not harsh enough, right? So I want to make sure that I'm paying as much attention to my clients as possible, even if it's the most minor thing. Market yellow, I want to pay attention to it, and it's done that. It'll give information on some other clients. Here's my Jira tickets, and then just some FYIs that I should probably pay attention to. Yeah. Okay, so coming back into skills, some other skills that we have is the customer success advisor. So this is similar to the daily brief, but this is not automated. It's not going to check my client health. It's not going to do anything. This is just a generic personality, basically, skill that I've given Claude. So anytime I ask a question, if I'm facing a difficult customer situation, I can simply come to Claude and say, "Hey, I'm having this issue with this client. Not exactly sure how to approach it. Had some harsh feedback from our latest meeting. What's the best thing that I should do? How should I follow up with this client? How should I bring it up to my internal team? What are the appropriate next steps to make sure that this customer doesn't churn?" And in me asking that, it's going to use this customer success advisor, which again, I've told it to research best practices. I've done an even deeper research for this one, since it's specifically for advising me. It's done even deeper research, so that anytime I ask a question, it'll give me the absolute best advice, which, then I'll check with my internal team, figure out if that's the appropriate step, and then we can act on it. And then finally, we have the QBR generator. So this will parse the input. The inputs are our Jira tickets. It has context on what our clients are. It'll load all of the referenced files from the DataGOL workbooks that I have connected, gather all of the data: AI usage, user login, time spent, workbooks created, AI score, all of this. And then it'll also pull meeting transcripts and Jira tickets. And from here, it'll create quarterly business reviews to keep us and our clients on track. Let me show you an example of a quarterly business review that it has generated.
So
Yeah, go ahead, Jeremy.
yeah, so before you get deep into it, do you maybe want to tell people who themselves want to create their own like QBR generator? Kind of the steps that you went through to do it, like because it's something I think that most people would, a few people on this call actually I know have to do QBRs. So maybe just kind of walk them through how you went about creating it, just briefly. You
Yeah.
don't have to go into like the detail, but just high level.
Yeah. I'll start at the top. This is the beginning of this chat thread where I actually created the skill. So I simply told Claude, let's brainstorm together. How can we create the best skill file for you to use in order to generate quarterly business reviews? I told it to research the best practices. And then also, I told it to ask me any clarifying questions so that we can make this skill as good as possible. So not only will it research publicly available information, it'll ask me personal information on how we handle our clients, who our clients are, any specific structure we want our quarterly business review in. And this is a good practice to do, right? Tell it to research, but also tell you to ask supportive questions, because you don't want it to also just give you some generic thing. If I want this specific to my work stream, ask me questions that you need to make sure that this fits me and my workflow as good as possible. So I've told it to give that. It'll, pull all the tools, do all of the research. It asked me a few questions. I've given it my answers to those questions, and then it'll go ahead and create the skill. Let me just come down. Yeah, so it even recommended me, right? So I gave it an image of all of the workbooks that we have in DataGOL, and I said, which one of these workbooks will help you best? What is best for you to use to pull the appropriate data, right? Because I can give it what I think is useful, but maybe it thinks that it needs some additional information. So it didn't think that I had enough. So I gave it a list, and I was like, all right, well, what else did you want? So it told me what it wanted, and then I added those MCPs as well. And then it was finally able to create the skill. You can see here that it creates it right within the chat. I can review it and tell it to edit it as needed. And then I can just copy it to my skills once I feel that it's good enough. Now I can now I can just simply say, generate a QBR for Rokeweaver. And that's it. I don't even have to tell it to use the QBR generator skill. It automatically detects I'm generating a QBR. And then it will provide this quarterly business review for me. Let me see. I don't think this one actually used it yet. I hadn't saved the skill to my skills
Yeah,
yet.
that's amazing actually.
Yeah. This is actually
Like
the
I remember
appropriate.
those used to put weeks to like put together of going over tickets, making everyone do their inputs, getting feedback. And you literally just did this in the time at like on the call live.
Yeah, yeah, it's definitely good. I mean, it's not good, it's amazing. Of course, we want to come into this quarterly business review and we want to review the content that it's actually pulled. But I mean, this is great. We don't have to spend time putting together the document from scratch. We have, at least at the bare minimum, we have a baseline of what we want to work with. So you can see here, again, I didn't specify any specific format of a quarterly business review that I wanted to generate. I just told it to research the best, best possible one that it can create. And then it created this. So it'll give us an executive summary, platform adoption and engagement. This is all based on those DataGOL usage workbooks that we have internally. It gives a breakdown by the agents that we have on the platform. So a number of conversations, the use case that they're using that agent for. This is the work that we've completed. This is based on call transcripts and Jira tickets. It'll tell us the deliverables, ROI, and value delivered. This is from workbooks created, pipelines created, queries written, queries run. All of that information is available to it from the DataGOL workbooks. And then it creates a looking ahead Q1, outlines a roadmap. This can be its suggestions on what the roadmap should be, but it can also be based on those meeting transcripts. Maybe we discussed that we want to touch on something with the client in the future. It'll get that from the meeting transcripts. And yeah, that's an example of a quarterly business review that has been created. What I can do quickly
Yeah, that's
is
great.
show
And
you.
it's like just so people know, it's like they can follow that same procedure in almost like anything, any task. The other thing that they can do that you didn't really touch on is they can create different roles within the agent. So they can basically say they want one person to focus on a roadmap, one person to basically focus on, incidents, one person to focus on like QA, and then you can actually have all of those different agents. It will actually spin up sub agents, and it will actually have a dedicated agent focus on the specific tasks, and then you can say I want like a project manager or some type of orchestration agent, and then it will bring it all together at the end. That's something you can do if it's a longer project or it's like more complex. That's just but it's you just simply have to specify that in the chat when you're creating it, and it will spin up sub agents for you now, which is also pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, possibilities are endless, right? Let me just show you some more examples of connectors, right? These are the connectors that I have connected, but there's a plethora more. You can connect HubSpot, Figma. It can create Figma files, Gamma for creating presentations, N8N. The what I have connected is just the minimum for me to automate my workflow a little bit. But there's so many connectors you can have and automate so many different work streams. Let me show you an example. You can see here in my DataGOL connectors, I have DataGOL transcripts. So this is a small workbook that I have for some client meeting transcripts for the purpose of showing you how these connectors work and how Claude is calling the tools from these connectors. So here you can see I have a client name and a client transcript, and I've added that as a connector here in Claude. So now it has access. If you're adding a custom connector like this, you might want to configure some of the permissions. So here you can see DataGold transcript needs approval. I know that there's not really, it's not going to be doing any actions on my behalf. It's simply going to read data. So I'll just switch that to always allow. Now, if I come to a chat, I can simply say, um, give me a summary of my last meeting with Roke Weaver from the Data Goal Transcripts Workbook. And then we'll be able to see the tools that it calls based on that MCP. So you can see here, it's getting the table data, it's getting the table schema, and then it's going to most likely run a command here. Yeah. So it's going to run that command in order to pull this field right here. So you can see every connector has these tools available to it because that's what an MCP is. It's a collection of tools that an agent is able to use. Here it's using these DataGo tools, but different connectors have different tools available to them, whether they're read tools to just pull data, write tools to generate drafts in my email like I was showing you before. So here you can see it used that DataGo MCP to give me a summary. So we demoed the ADIO dashboards, email intelligence, and then using workbooks as an MCP, which we're actually doing right now, as well as our RAG and document layer. All right, so it gave us a pretty in-depth summary. And yeah, I mean, this is how I've begun automating my workflows as well as sharing it with our team. And we're using Claude internally as well as DataGo MCPs to pull client information and do things like keep us in check with our clients, as well as generate documentation and just really help us out in getting things done a little bit quicker. Jeremy?
Yeah, so that was
Can
great,
you?
Jordan.
Yeah.
One thing that I think that I wanted to do is to open it up to the people here and see if they had any questions or if there are any specific skills that we showed that they maybe wanted us to package up and send. I'd be more than willing, to work with that. Or if you guys just had stuff that you were working on, we'd be more than willing just to do a free consult with you guys and help you develop your skills, walk you through any trouble, that you're having. That's really what we're starting to do here. This is going to be the first of like probably four that we do in this Claude and DataGOL series. And we're going to get progressively more advanced. We're going to start getting into Claude Code for things that CoWork struggles with. We're actually going to show you some business cases where without any coding and technical knowledge, people have been able to use Claude Code to do some pretty cool things. So we're going to get into that, and then we're going to do one that focuses almost entirely on the coding aspect of Claude Code and how we're using it internally to actually build out some of our systems and that type of stuff. But let me actually look at the questions. I see that we got one. Okay. So Jordan, since you use this every day, what was the one thing that really like surprised you the most? That was like some functionality that you did that just like blew your mind. Like what was like something that was kind of like a game changer that just like you completely weren't expecting. And if you could just share it and like what it was and like how you could replicate it, just I guess that's what they're asking. They're looking for something really cool that you found.
Yeah. I mean, I'm trying to think of the best one. I mean, I have it doing so many things. I mean, I just think it's great that I literally don't have to do anything. I thought, most AI platforms, ChatGPT, Claude, the way that people are used to using them is going to the website, chatgpt.com or Claude AI, and just asking a question and getting an answer. Or application is I have to do is open my email, go to drafts, and I'm automatically briefed on the day. Where normally I would have to come, I don't know, 20, 30 minutes going through my email, checking my Jira tickets, preparing myself for the day. I don't even, I can spend like 5 minutes on that now because it just automatically lands in my inbox and it does all the thinking for me.
Very cool. So someone else asked, and we can answer this both from, I would say, like our perspective as data goal and as Claude because it's one and the same. Someone asked about when we grant access to Claude, I'll include us for this as well. Like, what are our concerns about like giving it access to Google Docs and sensitive client information within it? Like when you answer that, like we can kind of explain that we actually have a layer on top of our Claude that's like data goal that gives us a lot of those protections. But they're simply asking, like if you're at work and you want to give it access to like something like Claude, how do you go about thinking about that? Is their question. So for us, I'll just answer briefly and then I'll hand over to you, Jordan. It's like, we put all those through DataGOL, which has a lot of our internal protections. We partner with Walled AI to do a lot of like making sure each person can only get access to the right type of information within our system. And we also have other safeguards within data goals. So we kind of have a layer on top of our cloud integration. But Jordan, if you want to maybe talk about, how you feel comfortable connecting to client data with Claude, or if you have any concerns or how you think about it.
No, so I mean the connectors allow restrictions on what they can and cannot access. So if you have some, maybe protected files in your drive, you can deny access to Claude to access that specific file. Like you mentioned at DataGoal, we have our own internal usage workbooks, so I'm able to use those. But when it comes to connectors like email, I might not want it to do certain things, and so I can just simply change the permissioning within the connectors page for that.
Cool. Let me think. I think that answered his question. We have one other one, and that was, how long does it take you like to get started and to build these? And did you have any like resources that you could share that were helpful that you use personally to just get up to speed?
In all honesty, I mean, it doesn't take long to long, I've looked up articles, best, how to use Claude memory, Claude skills, best practices in creating Claude skills. But the bulk of it is simply going into Claude CoWork and saying, I need to create a skill, do research on so and so, and ask me any questions that you need to clarify on what your goal is. Tell it what your goal is and ask it if the goal is not clear, what ask me questions in order to make the goal as clear as possible for you so that you can generate the best skill. So the best source in creating Claude skills, I would say, is Claude itself.
Oh yeah, I would actually agree with that. It's like I actually learned how to do Claude skills by actually asking Claude itself in like the chat portion. So when you guys log in, you'll see Claude chat, CoWork and code as little tabs. If you go into the Claude section and say you want it to teach you, you can say I want an interactive like walkthrough and tutorial on how to set it up, and it will actually tell you, it will walk you through the steps, it will create the files you need, it will give you like packages that will click. There's even a button that will show you where you've downloaded something on your like own computer to let you see where it went. So it will literally walk you through the whole process. So I would say, apart from, like internet, like tutorials, just ask Claude itself to teach you how to do what you want, and it will do an amazing job.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. It doesn't look like there are any other questions. I really appreciate you guys all joining us. We actually are going to have in about 2 weeks a webinar with the actual founder of Walled AI. So it's nice that we got a little plug-in for him as well. In this, we're going to kind of be talking about that exact question that was asked. It was like, how do you give employees access to these type of tools? Because one thing that we found is the biggest issue that leads to projects not going well. It's yes, it's hallucinations, yes, it's other types of things, but it's also people not wanting to give their employees the right amount of access, them either having too much or too little. And then a lot of times they'll then use systems that are not authorized, which can lead to them actually cutting back access entirely to everything. So our next webinar is going to be focused entirely on that question of, giving access to these type of files. And we're going to have two experts. We're going to have our founder and the founder of Walled AI on that one. So that should be pretty exciting. We're also probably going to do another one of these in next week, so you guys be on the lookout for that invite as we're going to try to make these recurring. And I really appreciate everyone for joining. If there's any last minute questions, I'll kind of leave it open for about a minute. And Jordan, did you want to leave with anything before we go?
No, I mean, thank you all for joining. I hope that if you are able to use Claude, it can help you automate your workflows. Again, I'm happy to share some of the skills that I've created, and just give some guidance on if I haven't already, help you guys create skills on your own.
Awesome. Sounds great. Well, thank you all for joining, and I hope to see you all next time. Have a great rest of your day.
Bye bye, everyone. Thank
Bye.
you.